Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Today we'll be taking a look at the very first issue of the original GIJoe comic book series from way back in 1982 called Operation Lady Doomsday. This story has been reprinted numerous times in other comics, like Tales of GIJoe and the Yearbook. It even got a reprint around 2004, coinciding with the new toy line. The cover has a number of Joes on some kind of tank, but not the GIJoe tank at the time, the Mobat. That's a little strange. Introducing America's sensational new Special Mission Force for the 80s, and the 90s, and the noughties, and you get the idea. Have we decided what we're calling this decade yet? The first page is a splash page that, like the cover, has absolutely nothing to do with the story. The Joe team are raising Old Glory, making you think of Iwo Jima as well as the national anthem, because there are bombs literally bursting in air and the flag, still there, is waving. We begin the story proper on a train, somewhere between New York City and Washington, D.C. On the train are soldiers as well as Secret Service agents, all there to protect one passenger, Dr. Adele Burkhardt, the Lady Doomsday of the title. Why Lady Doomsday? Well, she's a nuclear physicist who is going to a congressional committee to testify. She was creating a doomsday weapon for the government, but apparently without knowing that it was a doomsday weapon she was designing. I don't get it! How does that even happen? Doctor? Could you maybe come up with something nuclear-y or explodey that could destroy the planet? It's for my son's science project. I know parents aren't supposed to help, but... Say no more! I'll get right on that! Do you want it to actually blow up the planet, or just eradicate all life on it? Now I know that, in real life, there were people working on stuff like the Manhattan Project without knowing what they were building. But Burkhardt was supposed to be the brains behind the Doomsday Project. I can understand Steve the janitor not knowing, but her? That's like Oppenheimer thinking he was building a vacuum cleaner. Before we can get an explanation of how you dupe a nuclear scientist into building that thing from the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Cobra shows up. We, and Hasbro, are introduced to the Baroness. Yeah, the Baroness was created by Larry Hama, the writer of the comic, not Hasbro. The character caught on and was made into a figure. In fact, when the GIJoe toy line was first conceived, it said they didn't have an enemy planned. It was Marvel who made the suggestion that, hey, maybe you should have, actual bad guys for the heroes to fight. Burkhardt is quickly captured and kidnapped, using a balloon. A balloon that, thanks to what I'm sure is a loose interpretation of the laws of physics, doesn't get ripped to pieces by the helicopter. Cobra leaves behind a message taking responsibility for the kidnapping and warning the doctor will be killed if any sort of rescue is attempted. The US military quickly decides it needs to send the best of the best to handle this, so they call in Mask! Oh, sorry, wrong toy line. I mean GIJoe. You get a view of the entire Joe team that exists at this point. Hawk, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Shooter... Wait, who? Oh, yeah. This mysterious Joe is actually an in-joke referencing Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time. Anyway, we switch to Colonel Hawk still at this point, entering the Pit, GIJoe's secret underground headquarters, located beneath the chaplain's assistant school at Fort Wadsworth. He assembles his team and tells them Cobra has taken Dr. Burkhardt to a small island in the Caribbean, or Caribbean depending on who you ask. It's heavily defended with radar, missiles, miles and bunkers. They'll also face a battalion of Cobra troops, at least 1,200 men. 1,200 against 13. I like those odds! Both Snake Eyes and Dr. Burkhardt, who's talking to Cobra Commander, say that the easiest solution would be for the military to just bomb the hell out of the island, destroying most of Cobra and keeping the knowledge of a weapon to destroy the world out of their hands. But Hawk and Cobra Commander both insist that won't happen. Hawk won't do it because they're supposed to be the good guys. Cobra Commander is more cryptic about it. Doctor, this situation is far more complex than you believe. That which seems mindless is often precisely choreographed. Foreshadowing. And he's proven right, as a trooper informs him that they've got company coming and whoa, what the hell? Doing the Nazi salute? Really? We're really going there, huh? Yeah, I should mention Cobra Commander's uniform was partially inspired by Nazi uniforms, and it looks like some more influence crept in. Nothing says we're the bad guys like Nazis! Godwin's law in effect years before it was created. Anyway, the Blue Klux Klan leader here dispatches his troops to intercept the Joes, as well as carry out a contingency plan. There is more foreshadowing when he tells Burkhardt that she will soon see the distinct advantage of having no scruples whatsoever. The Joes attack, Cobra defends, but the Cobra troops are soon overwhelmed. By about half a dozen people! The surviving Cobras flee back to Hooded Injustice. Look, I just got tired of typing Cobra Commander in the script all the time, okay? He is surprised. Surprised any of them made it out alive. He thought the Joes would be more efficient. Here we see the first example in the comic of Cobra's stellar human resources policies. Both the assault and the defense were a feint. The real battle will be fought at the Cobra base, a fully armed and operational battle station. The Joes take out the radar and the airfield, leaving just one small plane. All is not as it seems though, as the planes and troops were fake. I'm actually surprised that Chrome Dome didn't send actual troops to get killed at the airfield. A second GIJoe force can now approach, using, whatever the hell that thing is. It's big enough to carry their vehicles for the heavy assault anyway. The commander is quite happy when he's told the Joe heavy assault team has arrived, and oh, here we go again! One Nazi salute wasn't enough, was it? The assault overruns the defenses, while Scarlet and Snake Eyes take out the generators powering the Cobra base. The jig appears to be up, and Dr. Burkhardt is being driven to the airstrip so she can be rescued. In a car from a time period that makes me think it should have a swastika on it. Seriously, comic, take it easy on the Third Reich symbolism, will ya? The first Joe team arrive at the fishing village, and we learn what Cobra's contingency plan was. They wiped out the entire population. Apparently so the villagers couldn't help the Joes, and maybe they'd spend time burying the victims instead of fighting Cobra. Oh boy, if you've never read the comic and have only ever seen the cartoon, this isn't the Cobra Commander from TV, folks. The Joes set up an ambush in the village, since that's where the car with Burkhardt has to drive to get to the airstrip. They quickly dispatch the Cobra escort, only to find they've been duped. It wasn't Burkhardt in the car, it was the Baroness. The commander tells the real Burkhardt this was all part of his plan. I knew I wouldn't have the time to extract the Doomsday plan from you unless I had neutralized the one force that had a chance of effecting a rescue. So I used you to lure the Joe team into a trap! Once the whole team is inside the base, he'll blow up the whole thing, taking out the Joes. Everything seems to go as planned. Scarlet and Snake Eyes confront the commander, and he uses Burkhardt as a hostage. He seals the room and plans to make his escape. Burkhardt is having none of that though. She began the comic thinking the military was evil, but seeing the Joes risk their lives to save hers, her heart grew 3 sizes and she attacks Cobra Commander, who promptly shoots her. Scarlet disarms him, but just then the rest of the Joe team arrive, using explosives to get in. In the confusion, the Head Snake and the Baroness escape through a hidden passage. There's a rare continuity error here. The Baroness appears behind Cobra Commander as he gets hit by Scarlet's throwing star, but she was captured by the other Joes outside, who haven't busted in yet using explosives. Since Cobra Commander had the device to disarm the bomb, nothing can stop the base from blowing up now. Fortunately for the Joes, he left his helicopter behind, with the keys inside and everything, so they used that to escape in the nick of time. The story ends with Cobra Commander and the Baroness escaping in that one plane that didn't blow up. They're heading for their true headquarters, and they're resisting the urge to say, "They'll get you next time, Gadget! Next time!" This is where the reprint from 2004 ends. The original comic, though, had a diagram of the pit, that's the GIJoe headquarters, as well as some personnel and vehicle profiles. It also had a second story, Hot Potato, which I'll quickly sum up. Scarlet, Snake Eyes and Rock'n'Roll just finished a fight in wherever the Hellistan. They have a data tape that must be smuggled out of the country, but Scarlet is hurt. So she orders Rock'n'Roll to take the tape and leave her behind, noting that Snake Eyes has a gun pointed at him, so he'd better do as he's told. She then points her own gun at Snake Eyes, telling him that he's going too, just to make sure rock and roll doesn't turn back. Since the lady clearly means business, they decide to run like hell. But halfway home, Snake Eyes turns back. He makes it back to Scarlet's position just in the nick of time to save her. How convenient. Meanwhile, rock and roll manages to deliver the tape to the other Joes. He doesn't stick around for chit-chat though. He takes one of their bikes and heads back to Scarlet and Snake Eyes. And wouldn't you know it, he also manages to get back just in time to save their necks. They hop on the bike and they make a run for it, only to have a plane sent after them. But for the third time in 9 pages, somebody manages to save somebody else just in the nick of time. This time it's Hawk shooting down the jet. The story ends with Stalker going through the real ordeal of the day. Airplane food. Yeah, that's right. I just made an airplane food joke in 2012. Look, I review toys from the 80s. You're really expecting me to be topical? This first issue does a good job of setting up the players. We learn what GIJoe is, namely Special Counter-Terrorist Group Delta, and who the Joes are, as well as some of their roles. Flash uses lasers, Snake Eyes is the strong silent type, Donatello does machines, that sort of thing. It also sets up Cobra to be just what it says on the tin, a ruthless terrorist organization. Having watched the cartoon before reading the comics, I was blown away by how evil and vile Cobra Commander could be. I could have lived without all the Nazi imagery though. I did like how the women were portrayed. Dr. Burkhardt wasn't your typical damsel in distress, and they all had good characterization. They made it plain that they don't take crap from their friends or their foes. The only thing that bugs me is the Doomsday Project. Would any government really build something that can destroy all life on Earth? Especially since the United States already has enough nukes to accomplish that. Finally, I had forgotten that Hot Potato gives us the first hint of Snake Eyes and Scarlet having a thing for each other. I'd forgotten they set this long storyline up so far in advance. So that was the start of a 12-year run of GIJoe Marvel Comics. We'll see highs, lows, triumphs, and defeats. Until next time, everybody. Huh. That salute looks kinda familiar. Symbolism!